Hey sports fans, are you in the market for Florida sports or just keeping up with the latest in the Panhandle? Palm Tree Sports is a dedicated audio hub to all things sports in the Sunshine State. We cover current events, big news, heavily favored opinions all across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and so much more. So come check us out every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For a down south education on Florida sports and athletics, it's hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 47th installment of Palm Tree Sports. My name is Corey Pujols. I am your host, and as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Happy Saturday, you guys. It is a pleasure to come to you at this time with some information regarding all the football, basketball, baseball, soccer, etc. news that I have for you coming out of the state of Florida. Actually, quite a bit of football news. That's going to be our heavily focused topic of the day. And with that being said, we're going to dive right into the NFL portion. We're going to talk about Tampa Bay, as I have a bit more information about what's going on with Mike Evans, as a lot of you may be interested in knowing what's going to take place with him. Now, for those of you who do not know, Mike Evans, he assigned a deadline to Tampa Bay for a contract extension. He has said multiple times throughout the years that he would like to wrap his career up here in Florida. Approaching his 10th season, it's safe to say that he has but a few great years left in him. Of course, he is a generational talent, and we love the guy down here in Tampa. But due to a lot of financial issues and discrepancies in the organization here in South Tampa, we have been struggling, rather I should say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been struggling to sign this man. Now, as a fan and as somebody who has watched this game for 20 plus years, alright guys, I'm only 29, so it tells you I've been doing this for a long time, alright, I can tell you these things happen. What I can also tell you is teams always find a way, regardless of the situations that they're in, to get their players paid. Okay, now I understand this is a business and all of that information. However, none of that really matters to the fans, and the fans are the ones who are putting the money into the Glazers' pockets. So, with that knowledge in mind, it's heartbreaking to tell you guys right now that obviously there will not be a deal reached with Mike Evans by this deadline, which wraps up today. Tomorrow will be the end of the deadline, in which he will play out the season, but after that, he will most likely, be looking for somewhere else to play. Now for Mike, this is a good business move because the man is a Super Bowl champion. He very well deserves all of the money that's going to head his way, whether it comes from Tampa Bay or not. But here's a hot take on the Mike Evans situation. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers may feel like they have a little bit of leverage. Now, in the coming seasons, we will have to sign some really young talent to some very long-term deals. A couple of names that come to the mind at first would be Antoine Winfield and Tristan Wirfs, okay? Antoine Winfield is our safety, and Tristan Wirfs is our all-pro tackle, okay? So, these are just a few examples of players that will need to be signed and need to be paid. Also, Devin White for that matter, and also Levante David, okay? So, with that in mind, you ask yourself, okay, well, what's Tampa hoping to do? Well, for the last 2 years, we have been trying to recoup from the Super Bowl season. And what I mean by that is all of the signings that we did. We signed Leonard Fournette. We signed Gronkowski. We signed LaShawn McCoy, Tom Brady. A whole bunch of big names for some big money, okay? Knowing that that is the case, that could leave the door open in one aspect for Tampa Bay. After the season is over, okay, should Tampa Bay be in good standing with Mike Evans, there is the possibility that you could tell him after this season when he's a restricted free agent, listen, I didn't have the money, which I'm pretty sure he knows already. They've tried to restructure contracts. That hasn't really panned out or worked out as well as they would have liked it to. So the only other option you have is to offer him a king's ransom next year. Okay, but it has to be a king's ransom, right? That's the downside to the situation. So when I mentioned Antoine Winfield and Tristan Wirfs, it was much to the chagrin of Mike Evans utilizing the young versus the experienced, whereas it may be easier to sign them than it would be to sign Mike. However, I say why not sign them all, okay? I don't really care how much guaranteed money you got to give Mike. He deserves it. He deserves to retire as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. What he has brought to the city is immeasurable in the sense of dollars and bills. I think that his spirit here in Tampa Bay has been that of a revelation. We've never had a wide receiver as prolific as him, and he is directly responsible for, being one of the top few people to attribute to our Super Bowl run with that saw Tom Brady throw him the ball for over 1,000 yards, okay? For the, at that time, I think it was the 7th consecutive season. Now he's at the 9th, moving into his 10th, okay, guys? If that doesn't scream consistency, I don't know what will or how to define it. So that's what's going on with Mike Evans. Again, there will be no agreement made by the end of today. However, he has said that he will play this season, and it is possible that with a good season, with good continuity and good spirits, that perhaps Mike may entertain staying here next year for whatever it takes. Tampa, got to make it happen, guys. There's no way around it. As a fan, I speak for us all. I have spoken to many of us. Actually, in fact, somebody asked me this question earlier at work this past week and said, what do you think about the Mike Evans situation? And I said the same thing that I was saying back then. We have to find a way to sign him, whether it's, at some point during this season if he's willing to listen, negotiate, or if it's after this season, headed into next season when he's an unrestricted free agent. Okay, guys? So that's what's going on there. In other news, for Tampa Bay, my apologies, guys. Tampa Bay's first game is going to be against the Minnesota Vikings. That is going to be tomorrow at 1 p.m. We discussed this a little bit last week, guys. I just want to touch on a few more things. There are no notable injuries. Cody Mauch may be out. And if he is, expect Aaron Stinnie to start in his place. Aside from that, no major injuries to report. This game should be a good game for two young teams with promising wide receivers and, now I won't say a quarterback dilemma because obviously Kirk Cousins did extremely well for Minnesota last year. But we're going to see how he does this year. I don't think he's going to have much of a drop-off. Of course, he's got Double J over there, Justin Jefferson, that kid from LSU who's absolutely phenomenal. I look forward to seeing this game. I can't wait to see how our defensive backs stack up against the talent at wide receiver that Minnesota has, and also can't wait to see how our defense does as a whole in general. Offense, look for the offense to be very shifty. Look for them to use the backfield. Look for them to use play action, and look for them to attack the middle of the field a lot more than we've seen in present years without the presence of Rob Gronkowski, who's typically the man going over the middle. This is something for you to keep your eyes out for, guys. This should be actually a very good game tomorrow, so we'll see what happens there. Now, this game is at Minnesota, so we will not have any home field advantage, unfortunately. And so, you take that with the good and the bad. Next week, we have the Bears. That's going to be Sunday, September 17th, also at 1 p.m. So I think that it would behoove us to have a good starting off game. Chicago, like Minnesota, a good team, young team, a lot of promise in a lot of different areas. All they have to do is learn how to finish. I tell you right now, guys, if the Bears learn how to finish, they'll win the division, okay? But they have to play good in the fourth. That's really the big knock on the Bears. They have talent everywhere. They can fly around. They're young. They're fast. And they're going to get after it. So now they just have to learn how to finish ball games. And if they could do that again, they'll lock up that division. I think, in my humble opinion, that division is actually looking pretty good with the Lions knocking off the Chiefs, though. That's just something I want to throw out there for you guys. Make no mistake about it. That division, even though it's missing Aaron Rodgers, is still going to be as bustling as ever before. Okay, guys? And that was a good question. I said, is Evans getting the Sapp and Lynch treatment? That's what it looks like. Because if you guys remember Warren Sapp and John Lynch, Warren Sapp ended up leaving Tampa Bay and going to the Raiders, okay? So, John Lynch ended up leaving Tampa Bay and going to the Broncos. So that is a very fair point. It looks like that's something that we're experiencing here with Mike Evans, although I do feel that if there is money, if they have cap next year and they make the right deals, okay, that they can still sign Mike Evans. I don't care if it's a 3-year or a 5-year deal, whatever it is, okay? I do believe that they will make more of an effort than they did with Warren Sapp and John Lynch to sign him after this season, because you can't just let a guy like that walk. We've seen what happened the last 2 times that happened, and as you mentioned, when we lost Sapp and Lynch, it was a direct blow to the defense in which the defense was pretty much not able to recover from. So that's just something to learn from as far as experience is concerned. Now, stepping away from the game of football for a split second, for those of you who remember back in the 20-teens, or early 2000s and 2020 teens, the Buccaneers had a wide receiver. It was the go-to wide receiver for Josh Freeman at that time. His name is Mike Williams, okay? This man played phenomenal football for us as a wide receiver. We drafted him, and he was a very, very good young talent. Now, of course, he did not stay with the team. I don't think it was past 3 years, but while he was with us, he was absolutely phenomenal at catching the ball. He was a trustworthy set of hands for Josh Freeman to check down to, and he also converted a lot of third downs while he was here. Guys, he was in a construction incident. My understanding is that a beam fell onto his head and knocked him out, knocked him into a coma. And the good news is that he is responsive, he is breathing on his own, and it looks like he will be able to make a recovery. The initial reports was that he had passed away, and he has somehow beaten that, and he is back here with us as far as in the conscious realm. And it's something that I just want to mention for those of you who remember that wide receiver. He would go on to play for the Buffalo Bills, etc. But it's a wonderful thing that he has, awakened, and I understand that, like I said, he is breathing on his own without support, and, I just want to send good wishes out to him, because watching this guy play when I was younger, it's hard to hear it now, right? So, sending well wishes to Mike Williams, as you guys should too. Hoping for a full recovery, although that is more than likely not going to happen due to the nature of the coma that he was in. If you guys want to see more details about it, I will be back on the show next week with a progressionary, status update, hopefully until he leaves the hospital, because, a lot of us remember him playing down here in Tampa, and he was definitely a gift for us for the few years that we had him. So, get well soon, Mike. We're pulling in for you. And, can't wait to see you, out of that hospital. And hopefully you can provide us with an update. And when he does, we'll be able to celebrate and be happy for him, So that's key. And so for that, let's go ahead and move on from Tampa Bay over to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So Jacksonville's first game is going to be at the Colts. All right, so this is at Indianapolis. Does make it a little bit more difficult because obviously, they're going to be jacked up in front of their home crowd. They're going to be feeling, they're going to be riding the emotion and whatnot. So Jags got to go in and weather an early storm, especially against the young team that they have. They're good at running back. They've potentially got a lot better at quarterback with the addition of Anthony Richardson through the draft. And that defense was no defense to sleep on last year. I don't suspect that it'll be any different this year, especially in the AFC South. This is a division game, guys. These guys are both in the AFC South. So like I said, look forward to seeing what's going to happen here. And I'm going to go with Jacksonville just with the continuity that Jacksonville has running the football. I believe they'll be able to control the clock and the line of scrimmage more than Indianapolis will. And due to that fact, I think that they'll pull ahead and win this game. I'm going to rock with the final score of 28-17. I think the second half really opens up for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think Doug Peterson is a tremendous second half coach, and I think that he will leave it all on the table against Indianapolis in the first game to build momentum and continuity with that team. Also, keep your eyes open for Calvin Ridley as he returns from a year away from the game of football. This guy was a prolific wide receiver at Atlanta, and he was only on the way up before some of the issues with the gambling took place off the field. I don't believe that his punishment was necessary for the situation that he was in. However, I do not control the decisions made at the top. I can only speak on them. I think it was a terrible decision. However, the word around camp is that Calvin Ridley has really taken back to football, that he looks sharper than ever before, and when we look hopefully to see the best season from him yet, don't be surprised if he's a top 10 receiver this year, guys. Now then, that's the game tomorrow. Again, that's at Indianapolis, 1 p.m., okay? The following game is what's going to be very interesting, guys, okay? The game next week is going to be against the Kansas City Chiefs. The reason why this game is extremely important is because the Kansas City Chiefs are just bouncing back from a loss against the Lions. Patrick Mahomes has not lost in the NFL very much since he's been here, so when he does lose, it's kind of a big deal. This is an example. I don't think anybody saw the Lions knocking off the Chiefs, but yet they were able to do it. If the Lions can do it, the Jazz can do it. There's just one problem. Kelce was not in that game. Okay? Travis Kelce, that is, for those of you who do not know. Travis Kelce will be most likely suiting up against the Jacksonville Jaguars. That changes the dynamic completely, as Travis Kelce is the number one go-to receiver for Patrick Mahomes. So take that in consideration, guys, with this game. And when this game plays out, Jacksonville defense is going to have to be on its heels and be ready for anything, especially with the addition, again, as Travis Kelce re-enters the starting fray for the Kansas City Chiefs. Of course, I do believe that the Jags can win. We'll just have to wait and see what happens, all right? So go Jags, beat Indy, After that, beat the Chiefs, start off 2-0. Simple as that. Now then, the Dolphins. Okay, so Dolphins' first game is going to be against the Chargers. That game is tomorrow, 4:25 p.m. If you're looking for what to watch, that's going to be Miami at the Chargers. Okay, so with that being said, all three of the games are going to be away games for all the Florida teams right now. Kind of a good idea, considering we're dealing with all this traffic as far as the weather is concerned. We just have had multiple tropical depressions hit the state, and another one that's in the East Atlantic, the Southeast Atlantic, is developing and continuing this way. So there's a quite possibility that next week that we will be facing another tropical, if not actual hurricane itself. Depends on how it develops. Of course, we're watching and monitoring it closely. But in the meantime, between time, all we can do is wait and see. So that is good news as far as the weather is concerned for us. However, bad news because we will not be at home to be able to play any of these games of the first week of the season. Now then, that's the first game of the season. The second game of the season is going to be against the Patriots. So the Fins are starting this series off two teams in the AFC, just as the Jags are, and the Buccaneers are starting two teams in the NFC. The NFC is weaker than the AFC, guys, so it's going to be a little bit more exciting to watch the Jags and the Fins play. Not saying the Buccaneers, Minnesota, or Buccaneers, Bears game is going to be bad, but they will be less exciting in comparison to these first four games that we have for the Jags and the Fins. So that game against the Patriots is going to be September 17th, okay? Sunday, September 17th at 8:20 p.m. There's going to be primetime football in the AFC East. It's AFC East showdown, as you guys would imagine, and we're going to see who has the inside track early on. Of course, with Bill Belichick still coaching the Patriots, that team could be always as dangerous as ever. As it ever has been, I should say, in its history. Of course, Bill Belichick, one of the greatest coaches to ever do it, if not the GOAT. That's up for you guys to determine, but I believe he's definitely in the conversation. Now, a few bits of information for the Fins game that I don't necessarily have to share with the other two games. The other two games, there aren't any serious injuries for you to look out for. This game, there is. Left tackle, Teron Armstead, all right? The Miami Dolphins left tackle, that is. He will be out versus the Chargers. Why is that a big deal? Well, the Chargers defense just got a gift, okay? You're going to have somebody who's not a starter filling in the left tackle position against a team that already struggled protecting their quarterback over the last few years. All right, I'm going to say that one more time. The Chargers have the opportunity to get into the backfield of a team who has not protected their quarterback very well for the last 2 years, and they're missing one of their top-tier offensive tackles to start the season. Okay, so this is as good a game as ever for the Chargers to explode and to take over this game. And if they win at the line of scrimmage, I believe they will win this game. I'm going to rock with the Chargers 34-21, okay, over the Miami Dolphins on that alone. Okay, so in other news, as far as the roster is, Jalen Ramsey is also not ready to go, so they will have the edge on the outside as well with the talented receiver group that the Chargers have. I look forward to seeing how these two offenses hook it up. They're going to be two of the best offenses we see all season, so I can't wait to see how this game turns out. But again, I am going to rock with the Chargers 34-21. That's everything I have for the NFL side of things. When I get back, let's go ahead and talk some NCAA, College Knowles Canes. After that, we'll do MLB, and then I'll tell you what's going on tonight for the UFC 293 card. You're not going to want to miss it. And then after that, we're going to talk about Collision. I'll give you everything else that you need to know about what to watch tonight. In the meantime, between time, my name is Corey Pujols. I'm your host for Palm Tree Sports. It is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Keep it locked here, guys. We'll be right back in a few moments.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Notorious Lava.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Alrighty, welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host. And as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Now, guys, we've covered the NFL portion of the show. Let's go ahead and slide right into college football, as it is College Football Saturday, guys. It's such a pleasure to have it back here. I was watching the highlights from College Football Game Day Morning. I'm a huge fan of the Game Day Morning show, and whenever I'm not doing community service, I watch it every Saturday morning. So, there's a lot of good games on today, guys. There's a lot going on. Of course, for those of you who didn't see, Colorado and Deion Sanders played some really good football. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out. What a game that was against Nebraska. The quarterback had him a hell of a day. So congratulations to Deion Sanders and his son. But over here, we're here to talk about the Gators, the Noles, and the Canes. And those games, they either haven't started yet or they just started recently for today, that is. So, we have the Gators playing McNeese State, okay? So, I'm a little, what would be a good word to describe this? Slow on the take right now for my Gators, okay? I'm very unimpressed with how they played against Utah. Shout out Utah. We love you, Utah. A wonderful rivalry that we have between each other, especially with each of the last two seasons splitting games in the way that we have with our defenses shining more so than our offenses. And that's always beautiful because in the Southeast Conference, that's one thing that we're known for is defense, also speed, which we did not have last week. McNeese is not a very proven or determined college from the outside looking in. However, it is a football team with a coach, and that's all you need to win games. The Gators look pathetic, though, guys. I mean, it's really hard to put it into words because it's my favorite team in college football, but the Gators' offensive line was terrible. Okay, just absolutely terrible. It's hard to look at a quarterback and say, it's the quarterback's fault when he's running around for his life back there. Okay? That doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't. Defensive line was terrible, but they started to pull it together a little bit better in the second half. Okay? Defense as a whole completely played, immaculately the second half, actually. I think we only allowed 3 points in the second half. Okay? So that's a big deal, right? That's monumental. Okay? Now, I don't really know what to expect this week. That's why I'm trying to pick my words carefully here. I think that we're going to win. Of course, McNeese, like I said, is not a proven, not a determined football team. Not in the sense of championship material. However, in the event that the Gators lose, that's going to be a big, big problem. I alluded last week that the Gators would probably only win between 3 to 5 games. I'm leaning more towards the 3 or 4 number. But losing to McNeese would destroy any of that thought process, okay? And it would also destroy the heart of the University of Florida, as this game is a home game. So, I'm looking forward to the Gators getting back on track, but I'm having a hard time believing that we're for real right now, okay? That's all that I can really articulate at the moment. Tonight will be a tall tale sign of where this team is at, okay? That is my belief. We will see what kind of football team we have. If Florida goes in there and blows this team out 50-3, okay, cool. We have something to work with. We've just got to get in rhythm. We got to do our jobs, and we got to pay attention. We got to stay focused, execute, right? Simple things. Play the game the way it's meant to be played. If we don't, if we go in here and we win a close game and we get stomped out, okay, and by stomped out, I just mean losing in any shape, form, or fashion, or if it's a close game, like I said, if it's anything, a touchdown or less, that will be problematic moving forward. Because, again, we looked terrible against Utah, and that was 14th ranked Utah, all right? Still on the schedule, we have 9th ranked Tennessee next week. We have 4th now ranked FSU later in the season, not to mention LSU, not to mention Kentucky, not to mention, of course, South Carolina, and all these other teams who are better, right, than McNeese or any of these other smaller colleges. So I'm going to harp on this because I'm scared, guys. At the end of the day, I'm scared. I have faith in my team, yes, but I'm scared, all right? So, and that's a good point that the Florida Gators outscored Utah 8-7 in the second half, okay? What does that mean? Well, that means that we played better defense. That means we played a little bit better offense, but that's not going to work, okay, against some of the top-ranked teams in the country, the top 25 ranked teams in the country, all right? And speaking of the top 25 teams in the country, again, next week we play 9th ranked Tennessee. Now, today's game, McNeese, why it's at 7:30, I'm sure I don't know, but I'll take it, okay? Primetime Gator game tonight, 7:30. Gators versus McNeese, first home game of the season, okay? Now, next week. Next week, 9th ranked Tennessee, Saturday, September 16th, 7 p.m. Guys, Tennessee could be for real at any point in time. That's the thing about Tennessee, okay? They're like, what would be a good team? They're like Ole Miss, okay? Or maybe even Auburn out west, okay? Where at any point in time, any given year, they could decide, oh, screw it, we're going to be a top 5 team in the country, because we're Tennessee, because we can, because we're the Volunteers, okay? So be ready for that, guys. That is something that could very well potentially happen, okay? Well then, moving on from the Gators, as I've harped on them getting their behinds kicked by Utah last year enough, okay? The Noles, okay? Noles' best looking team here in Florida. Now, I said that during the offseason, the entire offseason. I think we knew that already. But I don't think we thought they were going to look this good, okay? Because you know what I saw out there, guys? For real, you guys know what I saw out there? I saw the 2012 Florida State Seminoles out there, guys. Alright? I saw the old Noles. I'm talking about the Jameis Winston and the Sean Green and the Benjamin and that whole team that they had. That national championship team that went undefeated and went on to beat Auburn, okay, in the national championship game. In Auburn's magical season that was. For those of you who do not know, that was the most magical season, okay, that we had seen. I said 2012. That was actually 2013 Florida State Noles. I'm sorry. I had to correct myself. That team looks good right now, man. That team looks good right now. Let's talk about it, guys. Last week, they beat LSU 45. All right, 24. Absolutely destroying them in the second half. It wasn't even close. There was a point in the game where you just knew the game was going to turn for the Noles. As it was, the first half was a slobber knocker, okay? They were just two heavyweights in the pocket. Just bang, bang, bang. And then, I don't remember if it was right before halftime or right after halftime, okay? The quarterback for LSU, it wasn't a design QB sneak, and he tried to go up the middle through the A gap. Big mistake. He ran into a big guy and got tackled, got dropped right on the back of his head. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it by now. Okay, but if you didn't, that seemed to be the shift in the game, because shortly after that, you could just see FSU just completely start to take over defensively, offensively, even special teams wise. Okay, FSU was all over LSU, absolutely smothering. Like I said, reminded me of that 2013 national championship team. I love where the Noles are going. Jordan Travis is the truth. Could be behind Caleb Williams and Saunders the best, quarterback that's out there for sure. The guy is, very, very gifted in the vision aspect. He has some wheels for sure, but his durability and his IQ, his football IQ, is what's making me interested in to see what he can do for the rest of the season for the Noles. Now then, that was last week. This week, they have Southern Miss today. That's going to be an easy game for sure. That's going to be at 8:30 kickoff time. Now, Southern Miss is 1-0, but Florida State, without the shadow of doubt, is the more talented team, the more nationally recognized team, and also the team with the bigger depth. Now, I expect this to be a bit of a runaway of a score for the game, so I don't really want to give you guys a this is exactly what the score is going to be, but I wouldn't be surprised if this team puts up 50 against Southern Miss, okay? I wouldn't be surprised if this team puts up 50 against Southern Miss. Now, Southern Miss does have a squad. They'll score, once or twice, but I would like to keep that under 13 points. I don't see Southern Miss doing too much offensively that FSU wouldn't be able to handle. In the event that they do, we could be in for a good matchup. Outside of that, like I said, Noles roll Southern Miss. Next week, the annual Boston College beating that FSU puts on them. And I hate to use that terminology, but that's exactly what it is. In the better part of the last 20 years, FSU has handled Boston College. That game will be played Saturday, September 16th at 12 p.m. I'll probably be watching that game since next week's Gators game will be at 7 p.m. So I'll be checking out those Noles. I'll watch them play in the sunlight and see how they do, but I'm pretty sure they're going to roll them, if not worse, than Southern Miss. Okay? Now then, with that defeat of LSU, again, 45-24, FSU destroyed LSU. I mentioned last week, whichever team won would most likely jump into the top 4. Just call me a wizard, because FSU is now ranked 4th, okay? Now, this is a big deal because we were waiting to see where the power dynamic was going to shift. See, that's the reason for the pre-poll rankings, because it's there kind of just to set the tone, all right? Now that we know that Florida State is for real, we also know that they are most likely one of the top 4 teams in the country. They look like one of the top 4 teams in the country, and they defeated a team that is not so easy to defeat in LSU. I look forward to seeing what happens from this point forward, but FSU, just know this. After the beating that you put on LSU, you cannot go backwards. You cannot take a step back. You cannot drop a game. You can't even look bad in the game right now, okay? Now all eyes are on you guys. It's been on Florida before in the past, and we've been used to it, okay? Now it's your turn, all right? All eyes on you, Florida State, and, just go out there and dominate, guys. As a Gator, I don't like Florida State, but I respect Florida State, and that's a big deal. The same feelings that I have for LSU. These are 2 teams that I will watch play football. These are 2 teams that I will even root for against specific teams or in their conference, okay? Of course, with LSU being in the West and FSU being in the ACC, you guys get what I mean. We don't have to see them in SEC competition in the East, okay? Winning against them matters, but it doesn't matter as much as beating Kentucky, Tennessee, all these other teams, Vanderbilt, South Carolina, Missouri, okay? These are Georgia. These are the teams that we have to beat, okay? Kentucky. Now then, the Canes. Last time I saw it, Texas A&M was, they were beating Texas A&M, I should say, 21-17. That was at the half. I do understand that there is an update here. And, okay, so the update is Miami 28, Texas A&M 20, third quarter, 7 minutes ago. Thank you, Dad, for that. Want to put that out there for you guys who may not be watching the Miami game at the moment. Miami is clinging to an 8-point lead. We will see how they do as this third quarter starts to wrap up and they move into the fourth. I think that Miami can do it, but this is going to be a really big test for them. If they could play well in the fourth and pull away from this team and win by 10, maybe 13 points, I believe that will make them good enough to be nationally recognized and also good enough for people to start to take them pretty seriously, as last year they had no identity, as they had not had years before. I said this during the offseason. This is what we're waiting for from Miami. This is going to be a perfect game for them to solidify themselves as a power team in the ACC. So, we'll see what happens, guys. We will see what happens, but I do think that winning this game will propel them into the top 25. That is my belief, and I would like to see Miami do it. I'm not a big Miami fan, nor do I really care about them from the stance of the rivalry ship, right? Because obviously Florida FSU is the premier rivalry here in Florida. But Miami hasn't been for real for the better part of 25 years, okay? They need to return to the island of relevancy because they haven't been here for a long time. All right, 25, 25 años, all right, for those of you who know. So, go Canes. Next week's game is going to be against BCU. That is going to be Thursday, September 14th, 7:30 p.m. I'm pretty sure they just put it there because BCU, they're going to, Miami's going to put a beating on them. We know that already. There's nothing else to really worry about there. So, guys, just get ready for that game on Thursday night football, for college football, that is. If you guys are looking for something to watch on Thursday, there you go. Now then, we've talked about that. Let's go ahead and move on away from college football over to the MLB. Let's talk about the Rays, guys. Rays are looking good right now. Now, well, they're looking good as far as the record's concerned. They're not playing well against the Mariners right now. The last time I saw that score, it was 3-4 Mariners way, bottom of the sixth. Now, the Mariners, they're not the worst team in the league. They've been playing good baseball as of late. So this isn't something that bothers me too much, of course, with the playoffs right around the corner. We're always paying attention to the wins and losses, especially right now with the wild card loop-in trajectory. And what that means essentially is every win counts, every loss counts, okay? It's not like football, right? Where football is like, hey, did you win all your division games? Yeah, oh, don't worry, you're in. Okay, it's not like that. It's more like, it's good to start strong. It's better to finish stronger, okay? If that makes sense for you guys, okay? It's good to start strong. It's better to finish stronger, okay, in the MLB. Now, the Rays we're proud of. There's no other way to say it. Very proud of this team and what they've been able to accomplish this year. Second right now in the AL East. Been holding that spot for the better part of, I don't know, the last 4 months, give or take. The last 3.5, 4 months, I'm proud of them. Record sitting at 86-56. Mariners record 79-62. If they win this game, they'll put them at 80. It's a 4-game series, guys. Like I said, I don't really have too much more to say about it. I'm proud of this team and what they've been able to accomplish. But, hey, the next series is going to count. The next series is going to be against the Twins. And the Rays have been doing well. Like I said, we've been playing very well, winning more games than losing. I gave you guys reference last week. It's no different than it was last week. Again, this game is a 4-game series, so once it finishes, we'll be heading up to play the Twins. But the last game for this series is going to be tomorrow at 1:10 p.m. if you're looking to watch that. Okay, cool. So here's the update on the game, guys. Tampa Bay and Seattle both tied at 5 at the bottom of the 8th. It looks like it's going to be a walk-off for whoever decides to have the ball last. And what I mean by have the ball last is hit the ball last. I said hit the ball last. And we'll see how that game goes. Let's go Rays. Now, that next series that I mentioned is going to be against the Minnesota Twins. The reason why this series is going to be a big deal is because Minnesota is now currently first in the AL Central, right? They're rocking a 75-67 record. Knocking off this team would be a big push into the playoffs as we start to get into the fall of it all. All right, guys, like what I did there? The fall of it all. And again, being first in the AL Central, representing the best that the AL Central has to offer at the moment, that series is going to start at September 11th, okay? September 11th, a very special day here in America for those of you who remember. September 11th, 2001, I myself was in school. I will be talking a little bit more about that, next week once we get to that closer, I don't want to say that closer date, but because the date's a couple of days away. But once we get to next week and it's over, I'll deliver a statement on the impact of it all and talk about it from my personal standpoint, especially with the remembrance that's going to take place over the next few days and specifically on the 11th, okay? I pray for all those families, everybody that was, affected by 9/11. I'll never forget what happened 22 years ago. It actually shook me to my core. I was in school at the time, and all I can really remember was my mom picking us up from school. She was just crying, she was just devastated. And I had only ever seen her devastated when that happened and when Michael Jackson passed away. And I'm not saying that as a joke. She was truly devastated. My family was devastated. So, love goes out to all those families that were affected by 9/11, and you just hope to keep the remembrance on as these decades turn into the 2030s and the 2040s. We will never forget what happened there in New York, September 11th, 2001. So, with that being said, hopefully the Rays and the Twins can put on a good game, for those who will be watching. That game again, Monday, September 11th at 7:40 p.m. It'll be essentially primetime baseball for all of those, so I myself will most likely be watching it. Well, I'll be following on the ESPN app because unfortunately Spectrum is not giving us that channel at the moment. So, it really sucks what's going on with Spectrum. For those of you who have experienced those difficulties, I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. But in the meantime, between time, let's go ahead and take our last break of the evening, and when I get back, we'll wrap it up with what to watch tonight for the UFC 293 card and for the Collision card. I have something spicy to talk about with AEW's Collision card, especially with the recent firing of one Punk, okay? So, my name is Corey Pujols. I am your host, and as always, this is Palm Tree Sports Radio, powered by IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy white tea. We're coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
That boy Marcus knows what he's doing, guys, and if you guys are into fights, or fighting, as I should say, whatever form of fighting that takes place, for me it's martial arts, of course. Boxing is a lot of fun, kickboxing, the whole 9 yards. Go check his show out. The man knows exactly what he's talking about, alright? But, now that we're back here at Palm Tree Sports Radio with your host, Corey Pujols, powered and brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, I want to save this last little bit for what's going on tonight with the UFC 293 card and the AEW Collision card. Now, I'm not going to talk about the card for AEW. I'm going to talk about a recent firing that took place. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to start there right now, okay, guys? So, for those of you who follow pro wrestling, CM Punk was recently let go by AEW's talent position and chairman, Tony Khan. For those of you who do not know the name, Tony Khan is the owner and the chairman of AEW. I'm saying that to say this, guys. I've been a fan of pro wrestling almost as long as I've been a fan of football. Okay? Long time. Long time. About 25 years, 24 years. Something around there. And I remember seeing CM Punk when I was younger. I remember enjoying the guy. I remember enjoying his gig. The problem was there was always issues with him in the locker room. Now, they try to keep locker room incidents isolated, and that's for good reason. You don't want bad news. I mean, what's the old term, guys? No news is good news. Well, with CM Punk, there was always news, okay? And a lot of that news was not really good, okay? Now, and guys, I do apologize. I probably should have said this earlier. I do apologize, but as y'all could probably tell, my nose is a little stopped up, but, you know, I'm here. So, nonetheless, with CM Punk having the issues that he had, AEW was supposed to be a second chance for him. It was supposed to be an opportunity to get everything right. As it turns out, it wasn't. Okay? Punk was having backstage issues with some of the EVPs, executive vice presidents of AEW. And yes, even though the executive vice presidents may be talent on the roster, these guys care about their business and they don't want somebody to come in and mess it up. CM Punk seemed to be a bit of a troublemaker while he had been there in AEW, having issues with multiple personnel, multiple different times, and as the reference to Tony Khan, he mentioned that he felt extremely unsafe, and he felt that at any point Punk could have lost it and taken it out on more of the talent, which he had already dealt with Jungle Boy Jack Perry earlier that night. This was on the eve of the AEW's All In card, I believe it was, which was in London. Okay, so imagine you're trying to throw the greatest, biggest wrestling event that you're able to put on TV, and this guy is just completely messing up everything that's going on, okay? That's why CM Punk got fired. For those of you who like CM Punk, listen, there was a time where I really liked him too. There was a time where he was even my favorite wrestler, and I just could not get enough of him. The problem was staying out of trouble. We all have to be the bigger person at some point. He chose not to be the bigger person at all points, and that is always going to get you fired. All right. So that's what's going on there with CM Punk. My thoughts go out to him. I really hope that he's able to get his life in order and find a way to deal with some of these issues, because his tenure at AEW was not what we would have wanted it to be. Being suspended twice and being fired, just due to not being able to get along with the talent in the back, it just seems like, yeah, maybe he is a great money draw, but that's not going to help if it's going to come to the chagrin of the rest of your talent, right? So that's my thoughts there on that. If you guys are going to be watching Collision, let me know what you think of it. We'll talk about it a little bit more next week, but like I said, due to that developed story, I should say, it's been something that's been on the back burner for me a little bit. I'm kind of waiting to see what happens next and to see how the rest of AEW handles it. The last week or so of wrestling events has been very, very good. I did watch Dynamite and I did watch Rampage, so I will say that they're doing a good job recovering from it, but hopefully we can move past this as a fan base and move into what AEW has in store for us moving forward, guys. Here's an update on the Miami Texas A&M score, brought to you by my dad. Thanks, Dad. Shout out, Dad. Miami is now up 31-26. Third quarter, 1 minute, 27 seconds to go. A&M is in possession of the ball again. It is a one-score ball game, so a touchdown would put Texas A&M ahead. And that is not good because Miami doesn't play well when they're down. They don't. So there's that. Any more updates that will come through before the end of the show, I'll put live on air again too, just in case you guys need to hear it. Now then, the part that I'm excited about for tonight, okay? So, if you're not going to be watching Collision, and you're not going to be watching the Gator game, okay, I give to you UFC 293. This is, without a shadow of a doubt, what I'm most excited for. The Gator game, again, being against McNeese, that's not a proven college or anything like that, and I look forward to the Gators dominating. Hopefully, like I said, in the event that they lose, that would be a heartbreaker, but I just don't think that that's going to happen. We should be able to run the ball extremely well and get the score above 30 points, okay? That's my logic there, all right? UFC 293, though. The best striker in the world, guys, is going to be on display tonight as Africa's own Israel Adesanya. Africa and New Zealand's own, because he was born in Africa and Nigeria, but he was raised in New Zealand. He will be fighting tonight. For those of you who have not watched any martial arts and has a little bit of an interest, tonight will be a great night for you to jump in and watch what the best striker in the world has to offer. He is now the 2-time middleweight champion of the world. He will be defending his championship against one Sean Strickland, and I already can tell you how this fight ends, guys. Seen this fight a million times, okay? We've seen it before with Israel. We've seen it before with Anderson Silva. We've seen it before with some of the other great strikers in the history of the UFC, including Francis Ngannou and including Conor McGregor. What happens is a guy comes in and he's got all this hype around him. And it's mostly his own hype, right? He's hyping himself up, signing a deal with Monster or whatever the case may be. And he thinks he's the best fighter in the world. All right, well, this is the same Sean Strickland that we saw who was crap-talking Israel Adesanya before his defense against Jared Cannonier. And we saw Sean, who was supposed to be putting himself in number one contendency status, fight Alex Pineda. Alex Pineda knocked him out in the first round. And it was a beauty of a knockout. When you watch the way Alex set up the entire fight, set up the left hand the entire fight, going up the middle, going to the body, going up the middle, going up to the body, and then feinting the body and going to the chin. It was something of a masterclass that showed just how far away people like Israel Adesanya and Alex Pineda are from the rest of the strikers in the world. Okay? The reason why I'm telling you this is because this is most likely how this fight will end tonight, alright? I know this fight was put on because Sean's pretty much the only guy that Izzy hasn't beat. Obviously, it should have been Dricus du Plessis, but I remain that, they put Sean Strickland in this situation. So, why not Izzy? Izzy's not going to go in there overconfident. He's not going to go in there bragging and being boastful. He's going to go in there. He's going to do his job. He's going to do exactly what he said he's going to do. He's going to put Sean Strickland down in the first round. My expert analysis says that it will be via question mark kick, if not via question mark kick left hook followed by right straight combination. It could end in the clinch as well, but Izzy doesn't necessarily need to get close to you to defeat you. That's one of the things that make it beautiful to watch him fight, is he is a master of distance and control. He will pick you apart from the outside and make you make mistakes. He set traps that are meant for bears. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. He sets traps that are meant for bears. This is just a normal human being. Okay? Izzy's the best striker in the world. He may very well be the best counter striker in the world. And there's no doubt in my mind that he ends this fight in the first round via question mark kick, left hook, followed by right hand. Okay? So, if he does end it differently, cool. But I'm going to go late in the first, probably maybe a minute and change, like, minute 50, minute 45 to go in the first, like I said. And it's going to be from southpaw. It could be from orthodox, but, Sean is right-handed, which means he'll be orthodox stance, but he already fights awkward to begin with. Sean Strickland, like I said, great fighter, too arrogant, and too much of a gap between the striking IQ that Israel possesses. We saw that happen again with Sean Strickland versus Alex Pineda. I believe this will be no different from that fight. Okay? Simple and plain. Co-main event. Actually, it's going to be a good one, guys. You guys are going to want to watch this, especially if you like to see the big men throwing heat. All right? We got Tai Tuivasa versus Alex Volkov. Guys, this fight is going to be very interesting because both of these guys are coming off of being dramatically knocked out. Neither one of their knockouts were easy knockouts to watch because of the fact that they're such good fighters with such promising records. Tai Tuivasa, the Australian, Alexander Volkov, obviously the Russian here in this situation. So this is going to be a classic World War II fight, if you guys get where I'm going with that. It's a joke, but you get what I'm saying. These two are going to go at it. They're definitely going to throw around, and Alex Volkov being the taller guy, wouldn't be surprised if he tries to take Tai Tuivasa down, because standing with Tuivasa doesn't seem to be the answer, especially if he can get into range. With that being said, Tuivasa's been knocked out twice before. We're going to have to wait and see how this fight plays out, but I, for one, am excited to see this co-main event and this main event. Other fights on the card showcase a lot of striking that will be on display along with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners and wrestlers, so you're going to get a good mix of everything. Prelims, to my knowledge, start at 7. 7:30, I think it is. For those of you who are interested in watching, prelims will be free. They'll be on the ESPN app as well as ESPN if you have the channel. Like I said, this is what I'm going to look forward to watching once I get off here. I'll be prepping for that, and for the Florida game, I will have one on the laptop and one on the TV. So if you guys want to talk about it, hit me up on Twitter, hit me up on Instagram. I will be talking about it. I will be going through the motions tonight as I watch both the Gator game and, of course, the UFC 293 fight card. Well, that's everything I got for you this week, guys. I know, like I said, that my nose is a little stopped up, so I may sound a little weird, but I thank you guys for joining me today. Like I said, if you're looking for something to watch, that's what I'm going to say to check out tonight, like I said, and especially if you haven't watched any martial arts, now's the perfect time to jump in, perfect card to jump in and watch and see if this is something that you would like to be a part of. I talk to friends about this all the time out there in the real world. Where I was doing community service today, I was talking to one of the guys about it. So, like I said, great card to watch tonight. Gators, let's get the dub. FSU, keep rolling, baby. And, University of Miami, hopefully they can get this win against Texas A&M. Stay tuned, guys. And then also, like I said, Rays game still tied bottom of the 5th. Tied at 5, bottom of the 9th. So go Rays. Let's wrap this game up. Let's wrap this series up tomorrow, hopefully with a win. Maybe they can walk it off. That would be better than anything. Now then, for a few words of advice and for food for thought, guys, spend time with your family. I'm always going to say that every week, as no time is guaranteed to us, and that includes tomorrow. All right? So enjoy the time that you have. Do the things that you love. Don't waste time. Use it. Waste money, but don't waste time. Okay? So, I thank you guys so much for joining me here on the show. If you guys want to check me out again here at Palm Tree Sports, I will be here next week, same time, same place, every Saturday, 6 p.m. We're going to get deeper and deeper into the world of sports as the college football and football season begins to unravel more. And here is actually, guys, the last update before I let you go. Rays win 7-5, bottom of the ninth, 2-run at the a 2-run shot that went ahead and ended the game. Congratulations to the Rays. Good job, guys. Love you guys. Can't wait to see you guys play tomorrow and wrap up this series hopefully with another win. We're approaching 90 wins, guys, so keep an eyes out for those Rays. In the meantime, between time, next week, same time, same place, every Saturday, 6 p.m. Palm Tree Sports Radio. Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, is brought to you and powered by IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. I'll see you next week. Peace.